firing squad.
Maybe not that harsh. Hello and welcome to podcast number 50. Hello, our Crossity podcast Reeve Pimp Dig. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans. This is Mr. Henry Firing Squad Cooper.
Just killed a lot of them.
Corporal Punishment Cooper.
With or without coronavirus, just get rid.
There you go. So today we have a podcast for you, and we're going to talk about a bunch of things. Division 2 I've been playing, so I'm going to talk you through my experiences with that. I'm also going to be talking to you about Darkest Dungeon, which I'm having a lot of fun with on my Switch. We've got a discussion around the Animal Crossing Nintendo Direct, which happened and everyone's excited for. Not one bad word has been spoken.
Nope, not really.
We'll get into that too. We'll be doing the questions from the Discord. I will be doing the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week. And we'll also be doing a dad joke. So we've got a lot to get on with. And first off, let's talk about the Division 2. Now, the reason I picked up the Division 2, it's a year old now, it launched on February the 7th last year. I spotted it on Uplay for £2.50. Now, isn't that a deal?
I mean, even if it's a shit game, you can't really go wrong with that.
That was my reasoning. £2.50. It was at the time, I'm not sure if it still is now. Only on PC. It's like £18 on consoles. I think it's up to £8.60 now on PC. And I would even say that, even for £8.60, it's a pretty good deal. So my previous experience with Division was almost non-existent. The whole franchise, I didn't play the first one. The second one, I only had hands-on very briefly at an EGX event in September 2018. That was 5-6 months before the game launched. And that was like a one map mission with a bunch of randos, where it was like a crashed plane and there was like NPCs coming at us, and there was a big juggernaut kind of guy with loads of armor, and he was bullet spongy as hell. And the performance of the systems we were using was so bad. It was like the input lag on them was horrible, absolutely horrible. Didn't have a good experience whatsoever. So I was put off from the Division, to be honest. Like you want a good impression when you play a demo, and when you play it under those conditions, it was not good. But I figured even for £2.50, it could be trash. I could play it for an hour or two, and it's almost value for money at that point, even if you just trash it after 2 hours.
Well, and it's a game as a service as well, so it's always going to be better now, well, in theory, than it was at launch.
Yeah, that was the reason, and it's probably fixed a lot of balancing issues. Spongy enemies hopefully weren't going to be as bad, and also obviously performance greatly improved. So that was my reasoning. That's why I picked it up. So I'm like 14 hours in so far. I'm level 14, 15, something like that. And apart from one brief stint that I had playing with Cloney from the Discord, which was like under an hour, so we played co-op for a little while. Other than that, I've been playing solo, right? So bear that in mind with my impressions of this game. For those of you who are familiar or not unfamiliar with the Division, you understand where I'm coming from, hopefully. So let's start with the good things. Now, I was very surprised at how fun this game was in terms of combat, in terms of gameplay. Like the core gameplay of this game, it's very satisfying. I'm not sure what I expected, but the cover system and moving around the battlefield, it just feels good. So you stick to the cover, and you can sprint from cover to cover using the space button, and it all feels fluid, it's all dynamic, it's all very good. Obviously, you vault over cover and run around. I'm not very experienced with cover-based shooters, haven't played a lot of Gears of War, but this just felt fluid, it felt good. It felt really good to play. The shooting feels good. The feel of the weapons is very good. I don't know, it just works. It's a very satisfying combat experience in terms of core, essential gameplay of what this is. I was having fun. There's just an intangible feeling to playing this game in a combat experience. It's very fun. The other plus point for me, the environments, and the Ubisoft always do great environments from my experience, and this vision of post-apocalyptic New York, pretty stunning, to be honest. Destroyed buildings everywhere, dead bodies laying about, and like the overgrowth just reminds me of The Last of Us, that kind of scene where the nature's reclaiming It's very good. It's very good. So yeah, Ubisoft always good with their environments. The problem with Ubisoft is that they're always distracting you with the fucking shitty UIs that you don't get a chance to absorb how good it actually looks.
With a million like collectibles dotted everywhere.
Yeah, and you shoot someone and numbers fly up. I'm like, fuck, come on.
What? That's like the biggest modern trend in gaming that just needs to go away. I hate it. Does anyone like damage numbers in any game? Really, like honestly, does anyone like that happening?
No, it just gets in the way. Absolutely gets in the way when you're trying to see like the health bars or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, you don't really need health bars. Anyway, turn it all off as far as I'm concerned. And there's that thing again where you automatically highlights and shows you where the enemy is if you look at them. If you aim down sights at them, that enemy will forever be able to see. You'll be able to see them through walls. Tagged. It's like you don't need to do that. Like, immerse me a little bit more. Like, I take all that off. I probably could take it off. I don't know. I didn't even look at it too much. So I'm trying to stick to the good things. I'm already ranting. Level design as well as environments. The level design is spot on. There's always like a super wide battle area, so you can get around and flank the enemy pretty easy. A lot of good sniper positions, and
it is open world, right?
It is open world.
It is open world.
Absolutely open world, yeah. There's no loading screens. Whenever it does load, when you're coming out of a settlement, it just stops you from being able to run, so you just walk while everything loads in the background. So yeah, it's completely immersive like that. There is loading and certain special missions. There was one mission where it did have to load because it was like a certain event, some sort of weekly event or something that I had to load in. That was the only time I saw a loading screen. But the environments, well designed, a lot of cover everywhere. If you want to sneak up to someone to shotgun them in the face, or there's like, if you want to take up a sniper position, whatever your play style, the environment suits really well. And it's hard to get that right. Like sometimes people get that wrong. And credit to this game for doing that right. No matter what loadout I used, how I was approaching my tactics, it felt good. And getting that balance right isn't easy. So another good plus point, I guess, with the combat skills. Now you unlock these, you earn a currency, like this triangle skills currency. So every so often when you do a certain mission, you get this currency that you can unlock on a skill. Now there's 2 combat skills that you can equip at one time. The first ones I unlocked was the riot shield. So you've got defensive barrier when you're approaching someone if they flank you or whatever, and the mounted turret, or the deployable turret, which is really good for for solo play, because you can just throw it out there and so it distracts the enemies while you go around, flank them and take them out, and really good. A
little bit of a basic tactical option, but just a little bit something extra.
It's really good because there's 8 skills in total, and they've all got different types of, like, there's a flame turret, or there's and there's drones as well, and there's one drone that'll defend you and take in incoming bullets, and there's another drone that'll just go out and kill people. There's loads of different, so you can choose your skills based on what your play style is, and so it gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of gameplay, which is good. It's very enjoyable. I think it's definitely a plus point for me, that's for sure. So yeah, after that, again, another plus point. Early on, the loot is great, right? You get lots of new weapons all the time, maybe too much sometimes, because you fill in your inventory, you've got to go and sell them, or break them down for crafting materials or whatever. Eventually, it kind of becomes less, because you get so much early on, and you're like, oh, there's almost always an upgrade to the weapon you're currently using. I got to around like 10 hours in, and my playstyle was using like a rifle, one sniper rifle, heavy damage, like 5 bullets in a magazine, and then there was like another semi-auto rifle with like 20 bullets, but I could fire it. It's like very long, medium to long range playstyle. So hitting them headshots, trying to take them out with as little bullets as possible. That was my strategy, right? But 10 hours in, I had these 2 weapons, and then for the full 3 hours, pretty much, I didn't find any better weapons.
Yeah, I feel like that happens all the time in loot-based games. You just plateau for ages once you've hit a certain point.
So I went from enemies dying in 1 headshot to enemies needing 2 headshots to kill them, because my weapons weren't keeping up with the the level of the enemy. And I was like, hang on a minute. And these then, because I was getting higher leveled as well, doing heavier, harder missions, the enemies started doing more damage. They started using rocket launchers, which are fucking devastating, and they start flanking you a lot more, right? So every bullet, when you're playing my style, matters. Yeah. If you miss that headshot, you might have 2 or 3 people on you, and it's like, oh shit. And you need 2 headshots for a kill or whatever. It quickly becomes so over, and the game's pretty easy to begin with, and then all of a sudden you're starting to get overwhelmed because you haven't found the right loot weapon, because your weapons are taking 2 bullets instead of 1 headshots now to kill. So yeah, that became a little bit frustrating. So that's the good part of the loot and the bad part of the loot. It's like a good and bad in one, let's say. So yeah, I mean, I can imagine it getting really grindy, and when you go higher level, level 30 plus or whatever the end game is, I don't know, but I can imagine it getting really frustrating when you're looting for ages and ages, which is part of the main gameplay loop, right? And just not getting any reward. Yeah, just feels.
Well, you say end game. So is there a story before you get to the end game? What's that like? What do you do?
The story.
Yeah.
Well, the story is pretty boring. This is one of the bad points. This is my next point, actually. It's very, very tropey. You're an agent of the Division, who are like an agency set up to try and deal with the aftermath of the whatever plague or whatever. I don't even know what it is. You don't ever see this. Some apocalyptic event has happened, and there's some sort of plague or something. I don't know. It's not zombies. You don't see any. You don't see anything. You don't hear anything. I skipped a lot of the cutscenes, I'll be honest, because they were trash.
Maybe that's why the story's not so good.
I was not invested whatsoever. I probably should have sat through just for the sake of being able to report how bad it was. But it's very tropey. It's like, come on. I can't even explain it, but it's what you'd expect from, you're a military agent and people are upset with everything, so they're all taking it out on you. They ask so much of you, and it's like, come on, tell me a personal story. I don't care about this, like the whole world overall. Tell me something that's unique to me. Your character is voiceless. You've got no dialogue or anything. You're just standing there watching everybody vent on you, and then go and fix their shit, and you've got no.
They scream at you, telling you to do a job, and you just go and do it.
That's it, exactly. So yeah, that's how it is. Story is almost non-existent. So yeah, I skipped that a lot. So after only 14 hours of gameplay, I felt it was getting repetitive already. So I talked about the combat, which was very satisfying. Now pretty much everything else after that is not very satisfying. So you're talking about the periods of downtime in between the shooting, right? Just an interesting after a while. There's crafting, there's modding your weapons, there's a shitty story I talked about, and inventory management and all that other stuff, unlocking skills and spending your skill points and all that shit. It gets dull very quickly, and it makes you just want to get out and shoot loads more baddies. But the problem is, it makes for a very shallow gameplay loop if all you're doing is trying to skip all the boring stuff to get into the. So you're going out to shoot, going out for the combat, going out for the missions the whole time, and everything in between that is just filler. Yeah. Like there are ways to do that well, right? There are ways to do the downtime really well to balance out the hectic action gameplay, but this doesn't do that well at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's normally where your story will fill it in. Like you'll have your characters chatting about something, and then a window will smash, and there's a bunch of guys. You do the fight, and then you go back into the story. And
if it there's a way to do it where your progression is not locked to what you loot, right? You could. You can craft shit, but everything's locked behind, you've got to do this mission for them, you've got to do that. There's a lot of grinding involved before you can start, expanding your crafting inventory so you can craft better weapons and mods and shit like that. It's like you've got to go out and grind in order to unlock shit, and it's like all it is grind at that point. Like they're just filling out the space. They're not giving you anything meaningful to do outside of going out and killing things and collecting shit.
It's like, this might sound a bit backwards, but it's like playing for the sake of playing. You're not playing because it's fun. You're playing to play to eventually get to the fun.
Well, I didn't play a lot of any PvP at all. I didn't play a lot of co-op, and maybe it's less grindy, or I would have felt not that it's completely grindy, because grind is always the point where your gameplay is exceeded by the amount of shit you have to do. If you're having fun, it doesn't matter how much you've got to do, because you can just you tolerate it, right?
It's just more game that you already loved.
Yeah. So as soon as the amount of shit you have to do surpasses the fun that you're having, that's when grind kicks in, right? But for me, it's around 14 hours, and I'm like, I probably be happy never playing this game again.
Oh, wow.
Well, not that I wouldn't want to, because it is. I'll probably come back to it at a certain point. But it's like I've played it for a solid 2 or 3 days or whatever, and it's like I'm happy not to play it for a couple of days now.
You were so positive in the beginning, saying the fundamentals of the shooting felt great, but then it's just kind of plateaued. And
it's because it's the grind, right? Yeah. It's because. But anyway, like I said, PvP or co-op could probably make it more interesting. If only they'd use this solid. This is what thoughts ruminate with me, right? If only they use this solid elements of the game, like the gameplay, the combat, interesting skills, the environments, and all that game built around some sort of RPG that gives you a satisfying gameplay loop that outside of just looting shit and crafting shit. Make it into a decent RPG, and not RPG light where you're just doing busy work like Far Cry New Dawn. Oh my god, that is one of the worst games. I tried that as well this week. I won't go into that because I didn't have a great experience with that. It's just busy work is what it is. It's distracting from what is essentially the best part of the game, and there's nothing else to support the combat in terms of good gameplay, which you do need that, in my opinion anyway. So there you go. I think I will play it more, and if there's anyone out there on a Discord who does want to jump in at any point, hit me up, because I'm interested to play more, especially co-op. But I think my £2.50 was well spent, and I think I would spend it again. Division 2, good game. It has its flaws.
Only good. It's not great.
It's a decent game. Yeah. There are elements of the game that are really good, and it shows off what Ubisoft do best, right? Yeah. But there are also elements of that game that just highlight a lot of Ubisoft's faults. Yeah. And it's the double-edged sword with Ubisoft. They do a lot of great things, and then there are some things that I don't know where because it's games as a service, because there's paid things in there. You can buy, you can pay to just get to level 30 straight away. It's something like £50. But you could just skip all of that and just get to level 30 or something like that. It's something like that. And I was like, fucking hell. And then it makes you wonder how much of that grind, because I feel grind after 14 hours. It shouldn't be like that, right? Yeah. A £50 game or whatever it was at launch. You should have sufficient fun. But anyway, I'm not going to go into all that bullshit. But yeah, it's good and it's bad, but it is Ubisoft, so that is Ubisoft all over, isn't it?
I played, it was either the beta or the demo. It was one of them. I played not for very long. It was about 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, I like the visuals and stuff. I like the style. Like you said, the reclaimed society with all plants and shit covering everything up. I like the look of the Division people, because they're all tactical but sort of plain clothes at the same time. I think that's a cool look. But the beat to beat stuff is fun of shooting stuff. But I felt like I've played this before. Yeah. I just felt like it was boring. That's the only word I could use to describe. Again, limited playtime. I just felt bored the whole time.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, I was able to get my teeth into it, and I appreciate the fluidity of movement. I think that's one of the things, and how good the weapons feel. There's a certain combination of the feel of that game that is really good, and that did it really well. And just the little aesthetic things like the jingle jangle of your equipment as you're running, and it's just something that they've gotten really right. But then again, it's Ubisoft, and the rest of it is shite. So there we go.
Speaking of a shite game, let's move on to one that people don't think is going to be shite, and that is Animal Crossing New Horizons, I think it's called. So it's been announced for a little while now, but there was recently a Nintendo Direct dedicated entirely to it, because the game comes out in just a few short weeks, in about a month, on March 20th, so it's not very long at all. And in case you don't know what it is, it's a game about you build a little community, and there's anthropomorphic animals that are all cute. It's not my sort of game, but a lot of people really like it.
No, it is. It does have its appeal, that's for sure, and you can see that based on this Nintendo Direct. There's a reason why people love this franchise.
It's
not for us
popular.
because I'm in my 30s and I'm a male. So if either of those things weren't true, maybe I'd be more interested in playing it. But
I mean, the game that's also coming out on that day that I'm much more interested in is Doom Eternal, but I don't think those two games are really in competition with each other. They couldn't be more diametrically opposed. Anyway, so what you do is you pick yourself a little desert island, and you can pick from the northern or southern hemisphere. Apparently that's a new feature. No idea whether that actually means anything other than the seasons happen in a different order.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it showed the seasons happening. Like in January, it was summer in the southern hemisphere.
And you can have up to 8 people or like accounts on your Switch, and they'll all live on the same island together with their own little houses and tents and little things you put together, little community. It's adorable. You can only have 1 character per account though, but you can play up to 4-player local co-op with everyone using a Joy-Con, which I'm pretty sure is a new thing, which
that's cool.
I'm sure lots of people really get behind, because you can all exist in your little community and chop down trees together and go fishing together and have a nice little wholesome experience.
And some people are upset that you can only have 1 island per Nintendo Switch. You can have multiple characters, right? But you can't have multiple islands.
Yeah, you've all got all
Switch.
Accounts will be on the same island.
On the same Switch.
So if you don't want to share your island with your little brother who you share the Switch with because your mum wouldn't buy you one each, you're out of luck. You've got but fine, just go on the opposite sides of the island. You'll be all right. And you start off with a little tent with like a few basic supplies, and you slowly start to be able to craft items for your home base, and you get like basic furniture. You can have like benches and campfires and shit. And then eventually you can build yourself a little house, and you can get a loan, which is a thing I'm learning more about from Animal
Interest-free
Crossing. An interest-free loan, which they emphasize from Tom Nook, who I always thought was a dog, but apparently he's a raccoon. And I think that's like a visual pun, because raccoons have the markings on their face that looks like a thief mask, and because you're getting a loan from him, he's a thief. See, they're so clever. Your house has like a fully customizable interior and exterior, so at that point it looks very, very Sims-esque. You can fill it with furniture, you can change the wallpaper, the flooring, all that.
Yeah, at a certain point, you can change the colour of your furniture as well. There's a lot of customization in terms of your decor in your house.
I think that's one of the massive additions to this one, is the amount of customization you have over like everything. Yeah,
and you think of the appeal of a game like The Sims. Well, they've definitely kind of integrated that into Animal Crossing now. People who play The Sims will be interested in this because of the customizability of your environments in your house and shit.
And if you really like your house or your tent or just your whole island, you can invite another player, a real world player, to come over and visit your island and show it off and hang out together there. You do need a code to be able to access someone's island. You can't just do it randomly. You can't just drop in anywhere.
And then you have to go to the airport part of the island in order to get a ticket and fly over.
And fly. It's all in.
That's pretty cute.
It's all like in universe, which is quite fun. The owner, member of staff or whatever at the airport, I think he's a dodo or something. He's a flightless bird, essentially, or he might be an emu. I think he might be an emu.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't think I want to trust
a non-extinct
flying. I don't want to trust flying on an airplane from a guy who can't fly, a bird that can't fly. You can't farm resources in other people's worlds, because that would mean, like, if you just went into your mate's world, you could chop down all the trees and just be like, piss off, I'm out of it. Because no shovels or axes are allowed in other people's worlds or islands or whatever until you become best friends. And I think that doesn't really explain what you have to do to get to that. I think you just have to
allocate some. Just click the heart next to the name, so they're your BFF,
friends,
and so they can fuck your shit up,
and then just go in and chop down all the fucking trees. There is a mobile companion app. Not the companion app. That's coming in a minute. There's a mobile phone in the game which is called the Nook phone, and that's where all the menus are.
Yeah,
you whip out your phone and you can access a camera for photo mode, which is quite cool. Any game with a social feature like this, being able to go to different players' worlds, photo mode is great for that sort of thing. I always enjoy photo mode. A map, which is pretty standard. There's something called the Nook Mileage Program, which is essentially tutorials / challenges. It's like, teach you how to fish. Now go fish for 10 fish, and then you get You earn miles, which you can then spend on customization items or plane tickets to other people's worlds.
Yeah.
So it's not a premium currency or anything, which was suggested by, Box Art, like last week or something, that there was going to be purchasable items, but it doesn't seem to be the case at the moment anyway.
It's just it's tutorial rewards, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can't farm stuff from your friends' islands, but you can fly to other uninhabited ones and farm the shit out of them, which sounded very colonial to me, very like the British Empire. We're going to go there, we're going to take all your shit, and we're going to fuck off.
Yeah. You can even get some NPCs to come and join you on your island as well, which is a pretty cool touch.
That's a slavery imagery in my head right now. There is a rescue service, which is basically just fast travel back to your home base in case you get lost on one of these random islands.
It's funny how you are on a deserted island and you've got decent mobile signal.
Yeah.
And it's weird that.
The whole thing is like, come visit your new deserted island. It's like a holiday ad for...
Yeah, holiday camp type of thing. Yeah. Tom Nook's trying to sell it, and like that's the theme of it.
And there is a really deep sense of irony to Tom Nook being this like ultra-capitalist, tax-dodging little bastard. Apparently there are dangerous creatures on your desert island, and I was deserted island rather. And I was like, oh cool. Are there like monsters or shit that you can fight? Is there combat in this now? No, it's wasps and scorpions. That if you can walk into a wasp's nest and it'll swarm at you, and you can get stung. Whoa.
Wow.
I mean, it's revolutionary for
one of the guys.
It's revolutionary for Animal Crossing, to be fair, because it suggests that when you get stung, you become irritated or worse,
and then fade to black.
Blacks out. So that people are memeing it, saying there's permadeath in Animal Crossing. No doubt people will do permadeath runs of Animal Crossing, try and build your community and just see what happens if you die type thing.
Yeah.
So there is additional functionality in the Nintendo Online Companion app, which is what I was trying to suggest earlier, called the Nook Link. And apparently in that you can transfer designs from other Animal Crossing games, the previous DS and Wii U ones, I think they were. So if you've made a custom t-shirt or something, you get a little QR code and you can transfer that into your new game, which is quite handy.
It's cool.
But one thing that is a little weird is that all in-game chat is routed through the companion app. So if you want to chat, voice or text chat, it has to go through the companion app.
Well, Nintendo don't have voice chat on the Switch, do they?
No, it's just
that's how it is.
Something you're going to have to deal with. They made a lot of promises about a bunch of stuff coming in the future, which were very vague. It doesn't say anything about when, but it's like we're doing all of this stuff, and it does sound quite substantial. So they're going to add a bunch of other residents who are going to come to your little deserted island, your little camp or whatever. You're going to add a museum. There's going to be a shop where you can buy furniture and other non-craftable items. There's going to be a tailor. There's a campsite for, I think it said, recreational activities. And when I hear a campsite with recreational activities, I'm thinking a bunch of weed, a bunch of beer. It's going to be fun. There's going to be events like fishing tournaments and bug-offs, which I first heard as cook-offs and had to keep spinning back. I was like, what the fuck is a bug-off? And I think it's collecting bugs, I would assume. And a bunch of free seasonal updates, which will tie into like Halloween and Christmas, that sort of stuff. Isabella is back, which is the thing I didn't really realise she had gone.
That's astounding.
She's a little bitch. I mean, she's a little dog. And I call her a bitch because my only knowledge of her comes from her being in Smash Bros. No, I don't know nothing about Animal Crossing, but I know that in that game, she's a...
female dog.
Yeah, I was going to say a much stronger word that might get us demonetized straight away. But yeah, she's a prick in that game. Her fucking fishing rod is the worst one. And the thing is, she's not even good. I just can't fight her. She fucks me up every time. Anyway... even the Doom team are glad she's there because they tweeted, I think, after the Nintendo official account tweeted that, we're doing the Nintendo Direct on this day, this time, blah, 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 blah. Doom tweeted, will Isabelle be there? So now there's a bunch of memes of Isabelle dressed up as Doom Guy or her slaying demons. It's all good fun.
Wow.
You can apparently get a construction permit, and this sounded a lot like Death Stranding to me, where you can build bridges and ramps to get across the island more easily. And you can even chop up the island and reshape it.
Yeah.
So again, if your little brother has to stay on your island, just level up faster than him and cut him off.
Well, a lot of people, there's a lot of people comparing it to Minecraft. Yeah. The way that you can manipulate the terrain now as well in this game. Obviously, you've got to advance your character to a certain level before you can do that. But that addition is really making people excited. It just gives you that unlimited flexibility in terms of what you want to do with your island. Like, you don't have to stick to like one of the templates as it is. You can personalize it in loads of ways now,
and you can like install put earth in as well as take it out, so you can build cliffs and stuff, or you can take it out and form like a waterfall and then put a bridge over it, make it look all cute and adorable. No doubt someone's going to make a giant dick, which is probably what I would try and do. There will be amiibo support, but again, there's not really much detail on what that really entails. No cloud save support, which is a bit of a question mark, given that Nintendo Online, part of its deal is that you can get cloud saves, but it's not going to be implemented in Animal Crossing New Horizons, and that gives me a bit of a question because they didn't do that for Pokemon Sword and Shield, only to add it in later as, what do they call it, Pokemon Home.
Yeah, a paid
when
option.
They did a free version, which was very, very basic, and then a premium version, which was a subscription fee. So it was like multiple ongoing payments. Not saying that that's definitely going to be there, but Nintendo does have a recent track record of doing that, and I wouldn't really be surprised.
It's weird because they said you can restore your game if you've had your Nintendo Switch stolen.
Yeah.
Or lost or something, right? So they are saving your game.
Yeah. Something is meant to be coming, which is going to allow you to like re-download your data if your Switch gets smashed or something, which again sounds like this monetizable future cloud thing. Yeah. But so they just haven't really explained
that's the question mark, isn't it? It's like, if you are already saving my game, why can't you allow me to use the same game on two Switches? And only restricting that save game until I lose or get my Switch stolen. That's just restricting that functionality just for the sake of restricting it. And the question mark is, are they going to monetize that in future?
Exactly.
It's a big fucking... all right, Nintendo, you've done right here, because by all accounts, there's no premium currency.
And there's a lot of free additional content.
There's a lot of free additional content. The game looks fully feature-packed, and there's loads of things to do. And I would consider getting this game for my kids, because there's no reason why I wouldn't, because there's just so much to it, and it keeps them busy for hours and hours and hours, right? You do everything, all that so right. Why would you leave a question mark over these cloud saves? It's like, why, Nintendo? You almost had a home run here.
And it wouldn't be a question mark if they hadn't literally just done it a few weeks ago with Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So there is going to be a day one update, which when I first read that, I was like, oh, for God's sake. But it's actually adding in Easter-themed events, which is, because Easter, I think, is in sometime in April this year. It's called Bunny Day, which I think is to avoid any Christian associations, so they can have it in their own little world. You can receive special items in Animal Crossing New Horizon if you play the mobile version, which is Pocket Camp, and vice versa. So that's incentivizing you going on that, and I'm pretty sure that's a microtransaction-filled dumpster fire.
It is, yeah. It is, absolutely.
So you can go off and look up that. I don't have the energy to complain about that right now. But in general, fans have been responding really, really, really well to this, and it's a big win for Nintendo, especially given the recent multiple controversies around Pokemon.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been received really well, and like we said, it's not a game for us, but I can see its appeal. Having watched the Nintendo Direct and watched it through, I was just waiting for that moment where they'd say, and now we've got our premium currency, but you can fast track all your progression.
Yeah,
and I was looking for an additional in-game currency, but all there was the star bag money. That's all there is. That's I don't know what it's called, but it's a star bag money, and that's all there was. And I was like, where's the catch, Nintendo? Where's the catch? And I was impressed. I was impressed with Nintendo. I mean, maybe it shouldn't be like that. Maybe we should expect this the whole time. But they made it feel like
they've lowered the bar for themselves.
Exactly.
It's not everyone else.
Maybe I shouldn't be impressed with getting a decent amount of content for a decent price without the without them wanting any more money off you after the fact. But yeah, it just looks great.
And it's going to stay at a decent price for ages because Nintendo's pricing's ridiculous. You can still buy Zelda for full price. It's outrageous. But anyway, loads and loads of people seem to be really into this new game. 1.5 million views on the Nintendo YouTube channel for the Direct, and then factor in all the other channels that have also uploaded it. It's super, super popular. And I just pulled out a handful of comments on the YouTube channel. A lot of them are memes and stupid, but I picked out some of the really positive ones. One from Alana Tuimala, I'm going to say. Tuimala. My mouth literally fell open when they started chipping away at the river and cliffs. Mind blown. I'm super pumped for March 20th, and it sounds silly, mind blown by that. But for an Animal Crossing game, it is a brand new feature, and it gives you so much more control. And like I said, if you get it for your girls, they can cut off each other's islands and have their own little space. So, there you go. And that got 566 likes and 12 replies. So a lot of people are obviously sharing that. Another person called Invixable. I cannot get over how absolutely stunning this game is, and the museum, holy, I'm presumably going to say a naughty word.
Holy hell.
Well, yeah. And then another one from, hold on, this is very tiny.
Into the Fae.
Into the Fae, which sounds a little naughty. This game is everything I could ask for and more. I grew up playing this with all new features and can't believe how much fun I'm going to have playing it together with my husband. It'll be his first Animal Crossing ever, and I know he'll have the decorating aspect. And what were you saying about it being a girls' game?
Yeah, I didn't say that specifically. I mean, obviously it's got its appeal, right? It appeals to youngsters, obviously, by the aesthetic. It also appeals a lot, I feel, for girls. Not necessarily that's a girls' game, not necessarily that boys wouldn't play this, but I would probably play it if I was like 12 or 13. I think that it makes me wish that this game was available when I was that age, because I wasn't playing anything like this when I was that age. And I think it's a really decent game for what it is. Obviously there's a lot of appeal in terms of, decorating your house and building stuff and crafting. I don't know. I feel like that. It's like The Sims. It's more appealing to women than it is to men. It doesn't mean that it specifically has to be women playing it, but I think that Animal Crossing is one of those games that is embraced by women a lot more than it is by men, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's. I don't think anyone is going to string me up for saying that. I mean, you're totally entitled to like the game if you're a man. I'm not saying that. Anyway.
I mean, it's just not the sort of game I play, but I like seeing people excited about shit. Yeah. It's good to see people responding to it, and because it is so far, because we're very cynical, free of any additional monetization. You'd have a go at us if we weren't cynical about
Pretty Cynical Gaming. I think we should change the name.
We really should. So it's nice to see other people really, really excited about it. But personally, I'm going to be getting Doom on March 20th instead.
There you go. So that is one Switch game that doesn't really appeal to us. However, I've been playing a game on my Switch this week. It's been busy this week. I've been playing a lot of games, right?
It's because you've had 3 days off.
You say 3 days off.
Off, like, work, doing this shit.
I never have a day off, Henry. I'm always working. Always working. You believe that, then you're more gullible than you look. So the game I've been playing on my Switch, I picked up the Darkest Dungeon, right? So this is an independent game. It's a gothic RPG, right? Made by Red Hook Studios and developed by Chris Borrasa and Tyler Sigman, if any of you know them. The game was kickstarted in February 2014, earning $300,000 released in 2016 after a period of early access. And it came to Nintendo Switch in January 2018. And it's a really good game, and that's where I'll start with it. I mean, I've seen this on the Nintendo Switch store numerous times, and I always thought, it looks like a decent game, but I'm not sure about it. It's turn-based combat, so I'm not sure about that, right? And that's what always put me off, I'll be honest. Turn-based combat doesn't really. There's so much more to this game, and there's such interesting systems in this game that make doesn't even feel like turn-based combat. Well, it obviously feels like turn-based combat, but it doesn't it's the best turn-based combat I've ever played. That's hands down. It's maybe one of the best indie games I've ever played, hands down. And that is saved for a select few games. That's a very prestigious title. One of the best games on the Switch, without a doubt. It's got this like gothic, dark aesthetic to it, and it's very gritty, and people will die, and you'll be upset. So let's get into it, right? So there are three main elements to the gameplay, right? To the gameplay loop. You've got the dungeon exploration, you've got your settlement upgrading / your character management, and then you've got the prep, preparing to go out for, setting your team up to go out for the expeditions. So I'll start with the prep because that's the easiest way to start explaining this so that you understand what the gameplay is like. So you've got a roster of heroes. So you choose 4 of those to take out on any one run, and you recruit and upgrade these at your settlement. So there are multiple character classes. There are like 15 character classes, and they've all got unique skills, quirks, equipment, stats. And the most important part of the prep is when it's choosing 4 heroes that work well together and choosing their skills that work well together. They've got 8 skills each, but you can only use 4 combat skills. You're going to use 4 combat skills while you're out, right? So there's so much variety in how you can set up your one like group to go out, that it gives you a lot of food for thought, and it makes you experiment a lot with how you configure your team for going out. And you also go to the shop before you leave to stock up on food and like equipment and stuff, health items and that, and torches. I'll talk more about torches in a bit because it's one of the key systems. So after you're all set up and you've decided on your group for going out, you go out and do a run of a dungeon, essentially. So this mainly consists of exploring, finding loot, collecting loot, avoiding traps, and facing enemies in the battles. And like I said, the battles are turn-based. However, before you decide it's garbage, hear me out, right? There are battle mechanics unlike any I've ever played. I mean, correct me if there are a lot of games that are similar to this, that do make the gameplay very challenging and very interesting, in my opinion. So there's 2 main mechanics I'm going to talk about right now, although there are more. There's the affliction system and the light meter. Okay, so the affliction system is like a stress mechanic, right? So your characters can all suffer from stress, as well as a health bar. They've got a stress bar. It's a scary dungeon like this. Yeah, there's scary monsters. You get stressed out, right? So this is a key part of the mechanic of the game. So when you're in a battle, enemies, instead of just hitting you, they can cast spells to increase your stress. And you'll also get more stressed if it's dark. And there are also other things that can stress you out as you go along. So the light meter is the other mechanic I mentioned that works with the stress system. So the how light it is in a dungeon determines how easy it is, for one, how much loot you get. So if you diminish your light, it's super hard, but you get loads of loot for the run. Okay. But it's really stressful. Yeah. Right. So it can really take its toll on your adventurers. So eventually you get to like 100 stress, and this is where it gets interesting. You can take 200 before you end up having a heart attack and you die, right? So you get to 100, that's halfway, and you gain an affliction. So it could be something like fearful or paranoid and a selfish, etc. And this gives you a permanent stat change to one of your characters. For example, minus 5% accuracy, or like minus 25% damage, or whatever. So as you're going along, your characters will all be manipulated or changed by all the stress that they're having to undergo. So if you're stressed out and you've got one of these afflictions, one thing will happen is your character will periodically speak out and say something, say a comment, like a snarky comment or something, and what that does is it adds stress to all your other characters. It's really bad. So when this happens, like, it can snowball really quickly. So if one character is proper stressed out, it can affect the whole group, and I think that's really, really interesting. The whole thing, like I said, spirals out of control. And it's the way that this light system, loot system, and this stress system work together that makes it really interesting, gives you so much to think about, and keeps you on your toes in terms of how to put your group together before you go. Because, you know, you've got different classes of characters. You've got like healers, damage dealers, you've got people that buff the others and shit like that. So it makes you think carefully. It only takes a few runs where you're getting your ass kicked to think, shit, I need more of this, or I need a little bit of that, or and then combine that with all the different skills that your characters have. It makes it really, really replayable. Mechanics I haven't discussed are things like diseases, which debuff your character, virtues, which enhance your character's attributes based on random occurrences, and the trinkets and stuff which you loot and you can equip in order to buff your character and shit. There's also camping in the game, so depending on, you need an item called firewood or something, so you build a camp and buff your characters before the big battle at the end of the run. At the end of a run, or some of the runs, you've got a boss battle. Now these are really cool, right? I did 2 boss battles. One was a siren, right? And to keep you on your toes, she's got the ability to nab one of your characters, and so you're fighting against just one of your own characters, and your own character's about to inflict damage on you, on the rest of your characters, but you don't want to kill them because eventually he comes back. Yeah. So it's like, it just gives you throws you a curveball. The other character I did at the end of a run was the witch. She's got a big cauldron in front of her, which has got HP, but you can't damage it. She just uses it. She grabs someone and throws one of your characters into the cauldron. You eventually get them back, but they're like basically almost dead at that point. And because of what I haven't mentioned yet is the battles. The way the skills work depending on where you are in your formation. So certain skills only work in certain positions in your formation. So you've got 4 positions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you might have one skill that only works in position 4 in the formation. So you're best off keeping that character at the back of the formation, but you can move them during the battle. And it also only affects a certain position of the enemy formation. So if, for example, the witch is in like position 3 and 4 because she's a big fat witch, she fills 2 positions, you can only kill her, you can only inflict damage on her with skills that target 3 and 4. And 4. So it makes it really interesting. And the game is balanced so well. All these skills and perks have to be balanced, all these characters have to be balanced, and enemies have to be balanced as well. And I think one of the most solid parts of this game is how well balanced it is. It makes it really enjoyable. You never feel like you've got a really weak link in your team, so long as you've picked the right skills, whatever. So that's the second part of the gameplay loop, and the final part is the settlement management. Now this is the last big part of the gameplay loop, like I said. So you've got all these buildings like guild, blacksmith, tavern, abbey, and stagecoach and shit, and you upgrade these buildings, you heal your characters, you level them up using these buildings, and you recruit new ones. And you will lose a lot of characters. You will die a lot in this game, absolutely. For example, with the buildings, you can unlock a stagecoach that allow you to recruit higher level heroes based on the loot that you get. So you get like these trinkets and like heirlooms or something they call them, and based on how much you've got of them, you can obviously level up your stagecoach, get higher level heroes on offer when you want to recruit, which is a great one to go for. As well as you can unlock higher level character skills and equipment and shit like that. So you buff, make your characters stronger before you go out on runs. Dependent on enough experience, you can only level your characters up once they've had enough experience in the dungeon. So you can't level them up straight away. They've got to go out and get experience. So that said, you can heal your heroes from all their stress by sending them to the tavern or the abbey. You can also send them to the sanitarium to treat the diseases and the quirks. Now, these have a negative impact on your character. They give you debuffs, right? But that costs money, and it puts them out of commission for a while. However, it's sometimes easier to just dismiss your character and cast them off to the side because it can cost a lot of money to cure all the baggage. Yeah. So it's a really interesting thing how the morality, it's a question of morality, right? You're expending these people, and you use them up until they're psychologically spent, and then ditch them and replace them, right? And it's an interesting thing. You don't have to keep them, and the recruits are free. So
does the game judge you for doing that, or can you just do it?
There's no ill effect to that at all.
It's just your personal.
It's up to
morality.
you. But it's good to keep characters, right? Because you can get connected with them, right? You can rename them, you can level them up by hand, so you've put a lot of time and effort into these characters. However, you cannot make any connection with them, because you might just have to discard them because they get too fucking psychologically troubled. You have to get rid of them.
It sounds a lot like XCOM to me, because I played that a little while ago, and I don't really like turn-based games, but I really liked that. And I had these two people the whole way through. They were with me from the beginning. They were my best people, and the more you play that game, the more like personal you can get them. You can add you change their name, you can change their outfit and their looks, and they get different special abilities, and then they specialize as certain things. And on the last level, they were the only two who died, and I was dead. Everyone else made it out, and I was like, my only two OGs didn't make it.
Yeah, so it does present an interesting morality slant, that's for sure. The only permanent thing in the game is your settlement. So long as you're upgrading your settlement, you're progressing. The characters your heroes can come and go. That doesn't matter. And there's a graveyard. It reminds me of Cannon Fodder. That was the original one that you sent 4 heroes out. It was an action game, but you'd get them shot, and they would they appear in the graveyard, and there'd be like a corporal or something. You'd be able to forever remember your fallen heroes. You know what I mean? I think that's the same in XCOM 2 as well. You
get a little
anyway
memorial thing for them.
Yeah, exactly. Losing characters can really hurt, but then again, especially if you've invested a lot of money into them, like keeping them alive and shit, and especially if they've got really expensive trinkets on them, because they can cost a lot and they give you big buffs, and they could just die out of the blue, and it's like, oh shit, you feel like you've lost a lot. But so all in all, I'm having a load of fun with the game. Played about 10 hours, and that gameplay loop that I've just described it's completely got me hooked. It isn't the most accessible of games, it has to be said, especially to casual players. There's a very steep learning curve, and you do have to learn a lot before you get the most out of it. But once you realise how the systems work together, it's a proper RPG with meaningful progression. This is what I was talking about earlier with The Division. There's only one element of that gameplay loop that's satisfying, whereas this, because you're taking your time and you're trying to figure out what the best combination of heroes and skills and equipment to send out is, as well as what to do afterwards and how to repair your characters and upgrade your settlement and shit like that. There's always something, it's a cerebral event. You know what I mean? You've got to think about it. There was about a point at about 8 hours in where it all clicked, and I began to get it. I tried to understand what it's trying to ask of me, and not that I wasn't having fun before, but
it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I was just going through the motions because I knew how the game played mechanically. But then once I understood how to put things together, and I started to understand the systems a lot more, the game became ultimately more rewarding, because you're going out with a strategy, and then when that works and you come back and none of them are stressed and you've completely annihilated the dungeon, you like, it's such a absolute you've kept them alive and you haven't psychologically ruined them. It's an absolute a really fun time. So it's a great game, and play it if anything that I've said sounds like it's appealing to you. And a quick note before I end, a sequel has been announced at the beginning of last year, I think, and I'm really pumped for it.
Cool.
So there you have it. That is the Darkest Dungeon. It's not for everybody. It's very in-deep, complex, and it's a steep learning curve, but you will get a lot out of this game if you invest that time.
Awesome. Well, I've not really been playing much this week because I've been forcing my lovely, very accommodating and understanding girlfriend to play through the original Gears of War. Well, the Gears of War remake, I think Gears of War Ultimate it's called. Thanks to the very, 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 very generous Metal Shark. Thank you very much again. I've been really enjoying that. So, because she's not a gamer at all, I forced her to play Smash, and that's very accessible. You just press buttons and things happen. But playing a shooter is a bit more specific in what you're expected to do. And occasionally I'd sort of end up shouting at her. Not shouting at her, but I'm doing my thing. So I'll be like, oh, okay, do this. And I'll be quite, firm or... At worst, you could say I was snapping.
Yeah.
But it's like she'd be shooting someone, aiming at them, and the enemy would start moving, and she'd follow them while still holding the trigger, and I'm just like, don't do that.
Come on, noob.
Don't do that.
What are you doing? Give me the controller, noob.
Let go. Oh, You have no idea. The amount of times I'm like, right, I need you. Can you just pick that up? No, turn the no.
Press that button.
And I was like, just don't hold the trigger. Like, if you're not hitting them, stop pulling. She's like, don't tell me what to do. I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to help.
Wow, brilliant! This is brilliant.
And the most satisfying thing about Gears, especially like if you're your first time playing it, is the chainsaw. Chainsawing someone is infinitely satisfying all the time. But you can't do it to everyone. There are some enemies you physically can't do it to. So she's running down the corridor. There's bullets everywhere. I'm trying to shoot everyone. I was like, oh, where the fuck is she? And she just comes past with a chainsaw out, and I'm like, it's not gonna work. You're not gonna get through anyone. But yeah, so that's all I've really been playing this week, and it's a game from like 2008, the original.
I think we could do a series on you trying to teach your girlfriend how to play games.
I'm gonna force her. There is no other word. I am forcing her to do it. She's gonna play through all 4. No, 5. She's playing all of them.
She knows or likes it. Doesn't matter.
Well, Gears 1 it's very simple in what it is. Gears 2 takes things much more seriously in terms of story and the characters, and actually has something more to say about its little story. Gears 3, again, it ups things a bit more. Everyone's lovable, but it could have ended there. Gears 4 comes along, and the story's nowhere near as good, and I haven't even played that one, but I'll use that as a stepping stone to get to Gears 5, which is half really good, half what the fuck are you doing? And maybe I'll throw in Gears Judgment in the middle because it's a spin-off, and I can just make... but I might be pushing my luck if I do that.
Trying to get to do all of them.
But I have been having fun, and she claims she's having fun, even though she gets really mad if she dies or whatever.
It's good that you're, even though there might be times of stress, that she might be discovering the fact that she enjoys gaming.
It's part of it. That's the goal. I've tried to get her to play Last of Us before, and because it's an amazing story and it's very mechanically simple, but that was a bit too much. So I've wound it back a bit. Gears of War, all you got to do is sit down and shoot, cover and shoot, and maybe roll every now and then. I made a point to say once we'd finished it, I was like, yeah, you've finished your first like proper game. We've played Lego games and shit before, but a first like a AAA game. I like the Lego games. There's a lot of fun to be had there, but they're a different beast.
It's a gamer's game in the Gears.
So maybe eventually we'll get onto something.
That's an achievement, like an achievement unlocked.
Oh, speaking of achievements, because we're playing in split screen, we'd get 2 sets of achievements coming up, and they'd completely cover the bottom half of her screen, so I just completely disabled them. Yeah. Because which links back to a conversation we were having before about immersion breaking. They weren't immersion breaking. I just couldn't fucking see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've really been up to this week in terms of playing games. It's been quite quiet.
There you go. And you've been churning out the daily triples this week. So
working from home because you've had babysitting duties.
No, there's work going on in the house. Usually you do on Wednesday anyway. But Tuesday, what happened on Tuesday? Yeah, there was shit I need to do on Tuesday, and then there was work going on Wednesday, Thursday, and we couldn't film. Here. It was just too noisy. But anyway. You managed. You did really well. You held the shit together.
It's the same work, just at home, and as the world now knows, under a duvet. I thought that was a really good little post-credit scene.
That was the best outro of any video I've ever seen.
Well, because like
your face. Yeah. It was like the pixel potato quality.
This shitty webcam on here. With the light of the document illuminating me, and I was like, if the shitter this looks, the better it's going to be.
He made Metal Shark made a little emoji out of it. If
you're on Discord, you can have an emoji of it.
If you do join the PGG Discord, by the way, which is a great segment to the next topic, which is the Discord questions. You can join from going to patreon.com/Pretty Good Gaming, and if you do sign up for Patreon, you get access to the Discord. You get this podcast 2 days early, and part of that Discord now is all the emojis that Metal Shark's been putting the work in on the Discord, to be fair, as well as the others.
It balances it out a bit more, because there was one of me and you, kind of recent ones, then there was a really old one of you, which was quite
I didn't even know.
It was a bit harsh.
I had like flat hair, and I'm like, where is he?
Well, now we've got me surrounded by my pink duvet. Well, the best thing about it is that it was just blackness apart from my face and the pink of the duvet.
It reminds me of that, leave Britney alone. You remember that?
Yeah, it was a lot like
reminds me of that. So funny. Yeah. So yeah, much respect to Metal Shark for his hard work, as well as all the other mods who have now got the power and the and who are putting in the work for us on the Discord and helping us out. So sign up for the Patreon and become part of the community, which is improving all the time now, I must say. There's such a core bunch of awesome dudes there, people coming in as well every so often. It's well worth, if you're into gaming communities that like to discuss things, we've got a news feed there that just like every single link from it. And there's news discussions. You can obviously play together if you want to join me on Division 2. Feel free to jump in. I'm gonna start playing more co-op shooters, because I've re-downloaded PUBG, because that's got a like TDM mode that's coming. So I'm gonna try that out too. So if anyone wants to play any like shooters on a PC co-op, hit me up, because I'm interested. I am interested now. I've got more time to be able to do that, and I've got a decent setup now. So anyone in Discord, the invitation is out there. So let's move on to the Discord questions for this week then.
Yeah, let's do it. So the first one up is a kind of recurring question from Metal Shark, and it's a bit of a quiz. And it originally started with Gaz quizzing me stuff, but now the tables have turned, and I've got to quiz you. And I actually know all the answers to this one. Or at least I think I do. I might have got things backwards. But so this says, superb effort last week, Gaz, because I think you got like
6 out of 10.
6, something like that. Very impressive. Hopefully this will be more challenging. Drawing on Henry's infinite wisdom as the quizmaster, this week's quiz asks, is it a Subway or a Smash Bros character? Do you have any idea on how well you're going to do with this?
Well, Subway, as in a Subway sandwich. You used to work in Subway.
Yeah,
you were
that's the backstory.
You were a manager, supervisor. And I've never played Smash Bros. I used to eat Subway. Not recently. I've not eaten Subway recently, but last 12 months since I started my new diet. But no Smash Brothers at all, ever. So I'm going to probably struggle.
Okay, well, the first one is Harbin. What is Harbin?
Harbin cannot be Subway, right? It has to be Smash Bros.
Well, see, I went for the Smash Bros ones. I'm assuming playable characters, not like they're in there in the background or an assist trophy. So this has to be a Subway. And it is. Chinese, Harbin is the provincial capital. Oh, it must be Subway stations.
Oh.
Subway station, not the sandwich. Because I was like, I don't know.
So I've got zero. No. I've got zero knowledge.
Provincial capital of Heilongjiang province in northeastern China.
Right.
Okay, well, there you go. What about Izmir?
Izmir has to be Smash Bros, right?
I think you're wrong, because that's a Turkish Subway in the city of Izmir. All right, Rosalina.
All right, I'm 0 for 2, so it has to be Smash Bros.
You're right, it is Smash Bros.
Law of averages.
Tall, floaty, and lightweight, paired with her companion Luma. She is one of the Mario princesses. She's in Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, Rosalina is a female name. Yeah, it would be a bit of a squeeze to make it a Subway.
Next one, Pit.
Pit. This is tricky. I'm going to go Pit Subway. I'm going to go for Smash Bros. Character.
Oh, well done. Pit is a Smash Bros. Character. Middleweight fighter who has above average walking and dashing speeds. He's also an angel. That's basically his shtick. He is from Kid Icarus. I think. Never played Kid Icarus. He used to be really good in Smash, but now he's shit. Shulk.
It's like Hulk with an S. I'm going to go... I think that this is a Subway.
Oh, you're wrong there. It is a Smash character.
I was going to say that too. From 2 for 5.
From the Xenoblade universe, he is the only fighter that can change his status during battle, which is quite a useful little thing, but I think he's I don't like him. He's not very good. Next up, Kazan.
Kazan has to be a Subway.
It's a Subway, Russian in the city of Kazan.
Sounds Russian.
Lucina.
So I'm 3 for 6 so far. Lucina, again, sounds female, so it has to be a Smash.
You're going for a Smash? Yeah. You're right, it is a Smash. Fire Emblem characters whose sword attacks deal equal damage throughout her blade. She's also got the exact same moves as another character, but she's like the faster version.
Right.
All right, next up, Marth.
Marth. So... let's get straight. I've got 4 out of 7 so far, and there's 3 left.
Yeah.
Okay. So to beat I've got to get all 3 right to beat my score from last week. Marth is a character. Smash.
Correct. Marth is a Smash character, and is the character whose Lucina's moves are based on. They're the same moves. She's just the faster, less damaging version. Fire Emblem's character and the main protagonist of that series. Next up, Bart.
It's too obvious to be Smash, so I'm going to say Subway.
It's a Subway. It's got to be a Subway. It's American Bay Area Rapid Transit in San Francisco.
6 out of 9, baby. I'm on a roll.
Final one, Nama.
Nama. If I get this right, I've beat my score from last week and set a new record of 7 out of 10. This has to be Smash.
You're wrong. Oh! It's a Subway in the city of Bengaluru.
How cruel. How cruel. So close to a new record.
So what did you get?
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. So
same as last week.
They're still solid. They're still better than I think I've been doing on my ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one.
It was a good one.
Yeah, mix of a few different characters in there, but this could roll on for ages because I think there's about 75 characters in Smash Bros now.
Yeah.
It's just a question because you can't do Mario, Donkey Kong Train Station.
Some obvious ones, yeah, obviously. But thanks for your quiz again this week, Mr. Metal Shark. Appreciate your efforts as always. Cloney99 next, my co-op partner on Division 2. Let's go for it. Discussion topic. In the last podcast, you, while discussing the monetization of People Can Fly's upcoming game Outriders, right? Briefly touched the subject of them not having as much control over the monetization, especially in the later stage of development and after launch, because they are just the creators. I thought a little bit about it, and if I had the money, I'd create a publisher company that offers a different deal. And quotes, I front the money, you develop a game, we handle all the marketing and publishing, but if you want to decide how the monetization goes, you have to pay us back from the earnings of your game if it performs below expectations, end quotes. And then in brackets, expectations, of course, have been set up front in a reasonable curve derived from market analysis and comparing other games of the same genre, also prior releases of that developer, maths and stuff. So the risk of a game failing completely is with the publisher unless the developer wants to decide if the game has microtransactions or not. And if they do, they carry all the risk and we only act as a bank loaning the money. This is just a quick idea I whipped up. What do you think about it? Are there other ways to give back control to developers a little bit more? And do you think that this is a necessary thing, or do you believe they would just fuck it up even more?
So is giving the developers the choice to monetize it better, or are they going to make it worse? I really don't know. I don't think this is a particularly bad theory, but I don't feel like I know the ins and outs enough.
Yeah.
About how
these deals work.
Yeah, how these deals work, and how many developers actually really oppose monetization, because fundamentally some developers do have to do it.
Yeah.
And some will mind it, some won't.
I think it's a balance, isn't it, between creativity and having to monetize. It depends on how big an IP is or how successful your company's been in the past. You might want to try and eke out extra monetization by using these loot boxes, and it's a business decision above all else. It's not a gameplay decision, and no developer in their right mind would choose to put other additional monetization or loot boxes or whatever into their game, cosmetics or whatever. Nobody would choose that if they were safe for money, if they didn't have to worry about money. Nobody wants to design their game around these sort of monetization models. Nobody chooses that, right? So it's all about how much money do you need to make, and how important is your studio going to go bust if you don't make enough money? There's a lot of business decisions going in here. And I think that a lot of this is decided based on who owns the IP. If the publisher owns the IP, they will almost always, especially if it's a big publisher that you're familiar with, they will almost always throw in additional monetization because they've got nothing to lose. Yeah. Right? They want to make as much money as possible. So their mandate to the developer is, right, let's monetize as much as we can. Yeah.
That's pretty much on the money. I think you're absolutely right when it comes to whether or not it impacts the gameplay or the artistry of it. If you've made a game and it's kind of just like a regular first-person shooter with a bit of multiplayer in it, monetization in multiplayer is often expected these days. So it would actually seem rather odd if it wasn't there. But that's if monetization is put in, it's not gonna. I mean, we're assuming good monetization. If Cloney, you're running this publishing company, I'm assuming that you're gonna make sure that it's not loot boxes or pay to win shit. Yeah. But if it's cosmetics or like map packs or whatever, that's kind of like more accepted and more workable in a multiplayer kind of space.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it's like a single player thing, that would get in the way of the artistry or like your creative kind of message and purpose of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your question, Mr. Cloney. Hopefully we did it justice.
Well, you've got another one here anyway, so if we didn't do that one justice, hopefully we'll do this one. This is another Shag, Marry, Kill Golden Girls edition. And Golden Girls, if I remember correctly, is that movie about old ladies
old women.
They're doing like a nudie calendar or something.
We've got to choose between some grannies now. So
yeah, so we've got Anna, the lovable one-eyed sniper granny from Overwatch. Shira, question mark, the gruff older marshal from Outriders, also one-eyed.
Wow.
Okay, and then Flemeth, the fierce dragon lady from Dragon Age, who only got better with the years and still has 2 eyes.
Wow.
So you say dragon lady. I don't know. Is she like a like dragon and a human thing, like Dragonborn in Skyrim, or is she just like a regular human? Because I want to know if we're getting down to it. If I come across any scales, or worse, she starts breathing fire. But based on these choices,
it's difficult, isn't it?
It's not a good selection of Golden Girls. I mean,
you've just got to embrace the wrinkles, essentially. If you've got to embrace the inner Wayne Rooney.
I think, well, the youngest of them appears to be Anna or Anna. It's only got one N, so it might be Anna from Overwatch.
Would you say? I mean, I think it's just that black don't crack, isn't it? I mean, she looks pretty old.
Well, yeah, but she doesn't look...
She's got less wrinkles than the rest.
Shira looks the oldest, but then again, she's like war-torn and kind of beaten up. But she's isn't she like a scientist or something? So she might be able to fix herself with a little serum or a potion or something. Right, well, I think I'm going to marry Anna because she seems all right. I think I'll kill Shira because I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
No.
You're war torn. She's probably got a lot of
baggage.
Yeah, to put it nicely. And why not? Let's shag the dragon lady Flemeth because it could be an interesting night.
Cool. So I'll just read out Cloney's choices here. So he'd shag Shira just to get to know her better. I'd give sweet Anna a rest and maybe revisit her younger self in a time travel shag, marry, kill. And I'd marry Flemeth because I want to be married to a dragon. I don't care if I have to live in Dragon Age. As always, I want you to learn how...
That's the point, you have to live in an EA world.
Yeah. As always, I want you to learn how to bring awesome games to the podcast or teach me how to properly do shag, marry, kill. So I was going to YouTuber. Fuck, that's stuck in my head now. Have I read that wrong? As always, if you want to learn how to bring awesome games to the podcast or teach me how to do properly do shag, marry, kill, toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/Pretty Good Gaming and support the show for less than the price of a single movie ticket a year. A single movie ticket a year. It's even one coin. One coin isn't even a fraction of a movie ticket these days. You know how much you pay to go to the movies? You know how much you pay for a cup of coffee? Like, where you could get access to a Discord and early access to the podcast for less than the price of one cup of coffee, which you probably have 2 or 3 every single day if you're like me, because otherwise a day isn't even worth living.
I don't drink coffee, and I really wish that I did sometimes because I'm so dead the whole time. But there is a quick disclaimer from Cloney here. Disclaimer, I am not compensated for this plug or the participation in the Discord. It's still an awesome community. So there you go. It's not a sponsorship disclosure or anything like that.
It's only so many times I can say that it's an awesome community, but then, self-praise is no recommendation, whereas we have a recommendation here, which isn't self-inflicted. So anyway, my answer, I'm gonna shag Shira.
You going for it?
Yeah, because I've seen what
you've played with her already.
Yeah, I played her in the prologue when I was over, and nobody's seen her in the prologue yet, and she was younger.
Okay.
And she's motivated, she's driven, she's a nice girl. I'm going to marry the dragon lady because she's got 2 eyes, and then I'm sorry, Mistress Sniper. You got the boot.
Bad luck,
That is it.
Okay.
Thanks for your question, Mr. Cloney. We're going to move on now. It's my turn
I
to
think
read.
it's your turn.
Mr. Durlock, or Sergio. I have some questions for Henry Wobblyface as he is joining the PC Master Race.
What are we doing to these old ladies, am I right?
Yeah.
From the previous
Wow, lucky ladies.
Yeah.
So apparently you are joining the Master Race. I mean, you might have mentioned it a couple of times in the past.
Yeah, I think
you're in the process of doing it. It might be one of those things that you're always perpetually doing.
Yeah.
As joining the Master Race. You'll never actually.
It's never actually going to happen. I don't have enough money to make this happen.
Okay, so with that in mind, that Henry intends to join the PC Master Race, but in no defined time in the future. It's like you're engaged to be married, but you've not set a date yet.
Yeah, like it'll happen one day, but I can't afford to build a computer right now, so it's not going to happen.
Okay, based on the fact you are joining the Master Race in a fictitious time in the future, can you tell us the specifications of the PC you're aiming to build? You're not that far ahead yet, really.
It's going to be made of plastic and metal. That's the specifications.
That's a good choice. Number 2, is Gaz being a good friend and helping you out? Or he left you like an outside the marriage baby to survive in the wilderness?
Oh, it's very much prom night
You're
dumpster baby. Snipped at the cord and then thrown in the garbage outside prom.
If you ever asked me for any advice, I'm always here.
Oh yeah, he has given me advice before, but it's not gone anywhere.
I'm like, look at that, that's a decent deal, Henry. And he's like, cool. Oh yeah, cool. I wish I could afford it.
I don't have $1 million fucking quid.
Yeah. Number 3, are you going to ask it all assembled by your reseller like a little spoilt girl, or do it yourself? I've never built I'll just be honest, right? I've never built a PC. I've changed the graphics card. I've never built a PC from scratch. So if I'm a spoilt little girl for that, then so be it, Mr. Sergio.
Yeah, see, I'm not techie at all, but I like building things, so I feel like I would like to put it together, but I think I definitely need to get
YouTube tutorial.
That and an actual person in the room. So I'll be here with screwdrivers and hammers and stuff. Like, do I need any of this? No. This is how you fucking do it. And then it's kind of a continuing on. A part 4 to this question is provided by Cloney. Will you request the help of any excellent members of the PGG PC Master Race on Discord? Probably. Don't know when, but expect my message in your pigeonhole.
Well, if you do want advice, obviously go to the community. If you're building it yourself, I would suggest maybe getting it built by it.
Yeah, I feel like
if you're actually shelling out for something, you can get some good deals. Like, you don't have to buy them piece by piece and then run the risk of like
putting together wrong,
fucking shit up. And getting things wrong, because it's a lot to know in terms of like how much power do you need for all your components. If you don't get a decent enough power supply, you don't want too much power, you want enough fans to be able to cool your graphics card. There's a lot of shit to think about, and you have to do a lot of research. It's a minefield is what it is.
Realistically, this won't be happening anytime soon, because there's no way I can afford to knock together a PC right now.
There you go. Thanks for your questions, Mr. Sergio. You say that.
Yeah, I'll carry on with the next one. Where are we? Loachgar, what do you believe makes a video game a masterpiece? On the Steam store pages of certain games, I've seen popular users' tags with the aforementioned title. Excuse me. Half-Life 2, The Witcher 3, and Halo Master Chief Collection, for instance. I've considered this question how the literal definition applies when considering the medium, courtesy of Webster. A work done with extraordinary skill, especially a supreme intellectual or artistic achievement. Now, masterpiece, I think something as abstract as a video game is a bit more tricky. I think if you look at a chair, which you can see a carpenter's worked on it, and you can literally see the amount of skill it takes to do that, because it's hard, it's a tangible thing. It's much easier to call something a Master Chief more objectively. I think video game, it's way more subjective, especially as there's significantly more kinds of video games in terms of how they can be presented. I mean, even if you take a Call of Duty, so different to Sims, which is so different to, I don't know, Worms.
Would you call Halo a master
piece?
Because you did have a Freudian slip there and said you're Master Chief.
No, yeah, that's what it said. Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
that's what there's the Halo MC Collection.
But you used it instead of saying masterpiece, you said Master Chief.
When did I say what?
Oh, just now. I've just blown over it. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call.
We can
Halo
rewind the tape footage to make sure you did.
I wouldn't call Halo a master.
A Master Chief or a master.
I wouldn't call it perfect.
Yeah,
but it's it's genre defining and hugely influential, but it's not necessarily a masterpiece.
So what is a masterpiece in terms of a game? I think a game that does everything that it does to the highest caliber.
For you personally?
Well, no. I think in terms of art, right? Like you said, a chair. If the craftsman has the highest skills and he's applied those skills to the chair, whether you like the chair or not, you can tell that it's a masterpiece because of the skill that's used in the creation of it. So it doesn't matter whether you like the game or not. If it's the best version, you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
But I can't think of an example of a game where I could see why other people would call that a masterpiece, and I can agree that it is a masterpiece, but not like it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of games like Dark Souls, like Bloodborne, for example.
Yeah, that's a big one. But fundamentally, I don't think that's a masterpiece.
Okay, I've never played it.
I disagree with that conclusion.
Like something like BioShock, or something like what was the other example I had off the top of my head? Something like a Metal Gear Solid 5 or something. Like everything that it wants to try and achieve, like Death Stranding, you could even argue is a masterpiece based on that, right? Everything that it tries to achieve, it does it to the highest skill, the highest possible. You know, you don't have to like these games, but I think that if the skill of the craftsman is shown in the piece, whether you appreciate that or not, I think, you know, if all elements are to the highest standard, I believe that would define it as a masterpiece.
But I don't think that I would consider that a masterpiece by someone else's metric as well. Like I could, still respect the craft that goes into it.
Yeah.
But I still think it's too subjective.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Okay. I guess.
Do you have any that you can recall straight off the top of your head that you would call a masterpiece, in your estimation, or anything you think would be considered one?
Oh, I don't know. I think. I provided a few examples there, but it's difficult because you'd have to play the game. I mean, a masterpiece of a game, like any game that, whether I liked it or not, is a masterpiece. Is that what you're asking? Like,
well, yeah. What do you? Not necessarily the best masterpiece you've ever played, but is there a game that you've played and you've set down, like you've finished it or whatever? Sit back and like that was a masterpiece.
I think The Last of Us is very close.
Yeah, I think that's a good contender.
I think The Last of Us is the closest. I think that I can think of
for what it does for like storytelling and characters.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like that.
It's.
God of War is another one for me. It's The Last of Us and God of War for very similar reasons. In the way, once I'd finished them, I felt like
that is a good example, and it's an example that I can say that I didn't really connect with a lot of God of War for a couple of reasons. Like I think there were the amount of skills. It's a criticism that other people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about, guys?" But there's just too many skills there. There's too many in terms of battle skills.
Like the special abilities.
There's just so much, and it's like I want this to be simpler.
Yeah.
But that depth like pleases so many people, and it just doesn't connect with me. But I can appreciate that it's taken a great deal of skill in order to put that together, and that's the example. Yeah. Kind of what I'm trying to say is like I know that game's a masterpiece, but because all I have to do is look at it. However, I don't really appreciate the same level as other people might.
Yeah, I think Bloodborne is a perfect example because the amount of people that call that a masterpiece, and I just look at it, I'm like, nope, that ain't it, Chief.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Bloodborne's probably going to come up a bit later based on one of the other questions.
It is subjective. Yeah. So there you go. That's our subjective opinion. Let's move on. Mr. Metal Shock has another question. Bonus question, if there's time. Would you rather roleplay as Mr. Blobby, wearing the costume and making the sound effects, for an entire live stream playthrough of Doom and Doom Eternal, or play the whole Borderlands 3 couch co-op with Randy Pitchford?
Mr. Blobby, hands down.
Oh, I'd love to meet Randy Pitchford. I would fucking love to meet Randy Pitchford.
But
you don't have to like the guy.
No, but playing, it's not just meeting him. You're playing a co-op experience, working together with him. You've got to be on the same page. I don't want to. He's the kind of guy
got to know your enemy,
where,
right?
like, on fucking. What's the one where your mates always fuck you up? Like a situation like Call of Duty Zombies, when you go to the crate, the gun crate, and it's spinning up, and you get a really good gun. What was it? The ray gun or something? The laser gun that comes up for you, and they just come and pick it up and run away.
It's just
that's the kind of guy he is.
I know he's got the persona of some sort of sleazeball, some sort of wheeler dealer, some sort of nasty piece of work, right? But he's probably all right to talk to.
He's on a daily basis, but I don't trust him. I don't want to play co-op with him.
You don't have to trust him. I guess the clincher for me would be, do I have to play on console? if I've got mouse and keyboard, I'd probably happy playing through with Pitchford.
I think it
just to understand the guy. You don't have to like the guy or agree with everything that he says, right? You can be civil to him the whole time, but just trying to understand how his mind works, how his mind ticks. I'm like that. Like I try to figure people out.
But I think I'd have more.
I would love it.
I'd have more fun role playing as Mr. because it's not just dressed up.
The most inconvenient costume ever.
Yeah, the huge thing, like fully live stream. So I'd probably be under lights like this the entire time, and it means I get to play Doom Eternal, which is there you go. Which is awesome.
3 questions left. Let's move on.
Okay, tons. Seems like cross-save is becoming a thing again with Divinity 2 and now The Witcher, as Sony has done before with Vita and PS4. How do you perceive this feature? Would you be quicker inclined to double-dip a game? I like that expression. Would you like to see the function be multi-platform? Personally, I would like to access my Divinity 2 and Witcher 3 save file from my PS4 on my Switch. It would make double dipping these games very easy. Yes, cross-saves. Give them to me everywhere. It'd make my life so much easier.
Yeah, just a quick note on this. So the Witcher 3 this week was announced as crossplay functional between PC and Switch, but not between consoles and Switch, right?
Yeah, not between consoles or Switch, and not between PC and
consoles, right? So that's what the thing is here. Absolutely, I think that's such a great feature. And I've already triple dipped on The Witcher, in fact, because I bought it previous gen as well. I'm pretty sure I bought it on the Xbox 360. Was that on the 360, wasn't it?
No.
Was it not? Oh, I'm getting confused now.
I think you bought it on...
I've definitely got it on the Xbox. I've definitely got it on PS4. I don't know what Xbox
You've got it on the Switch.
I've definitely got it on the Switch. Oh, I'm PC.
So it must be Switch, PC, and PS4.
Yeah. That's always. It was the original PS. See, I don't know anything about consoles. The original base PS4 I bought on. Before I upgraded to my PS4 Pro, and it's been sitting gathering dust ever since. But yeah, three times I bought that game. So triple dipped on The Witcher. I never completed it, never got past 20-30 hours. And I think that this definitely would have helped me, right? Yeah. Because I've got like a 30-hour save or whatever on my Steam. I should probably load that up on my Switch and get playing that, because I've played like maybe 12 or 15 hours on my Switch version, and that's just been left there.
Yeah. Well, I think as with a game like The Witcher, where you could play extensively on your PC, you could then be like, right, well, I need to go run an errand, or I need to go on a train for a long time. Hit save, upload it to cloud or whatever, get your Switch, download it onto there, and then go, and you can just carry on from where you were, but without having to play in the inferior version when you're at home, which will be on the Switch version. You play in your upscaled version.
It's interesting because I've been playing The Darkest Dungeon, and it's one of the very few games on my Switch that I will sit on a couch and play, because it's got like a lot of UI, little menus and stuff like that. So playing it in a docked Switch, because the graphics are like, they're not like intense graphics. It's actually a better experience when you've got a big screen on the Switch. And then I left to go and watch kids swimming or whatever, and I literally just picked it up out and went out and carried on playing on the go. And that is one of the only times that I've really appreciated that functionality on the Switch, because the big screen with all those menus really helps on Darkest Dungeon, and then you could just walk out and play it, and it was awesome. It is, in fact, on the PC, the Darkest Dungeon. It would be awesome if I got that cross-play enabled. I'd buy it on a PC in a heartbeat if I could. If I could sit on at my computer and play it. But there you go. Yeah, it's a good thing. Moving on.
This is our final question.
Oh, there's 2. Next up, Cloney again. So there's an important question. How does a Y inverted nod, and why is inverting the path to the promised land, Henry?
I don't invert.
I do.
I'm not.
So maybe that's aimed at me.
I'm not a scumbag.
That's low. What games memorabilia collects dust in your... okay. So why is inverting the path to promised land? Because back in the day, you used to play with a joystick, right? So play some of the games I used to, the old like plastic rubber type of thing with one button, red button. That's as far back as I was playing games, right? I don't have the t-shirt on today, but I've got it on one of my t-shirts, right? So that's how I was playing. And there's like flight simulators on the Amiga where you'd have like the proper joystick type. You got a trigger button, and that was like the next generation up. And you'd be flying your plane by pushing forward and your plane goes down. So you push up, essentially you're pushing up to look down, and that's just all that was. Is I've converted from the original games where you push up to go down onto a controller, and that's why you push up to look down. That's why it's the Promised Land, because it's the OG method for controlling.
I mean, I'd fly a flying sim like that, because you're absolutely right. Pulling back to go up, right? But if I'm playing a shooter, I'm not. My guy, he's not standing there like that with a stick in his back, and I'm twisting him like that. You're
controlling his head, though.
So
to push up, you look down. Pushing up makes him look down.
Yeah, no, what? Hold on. Pushing down makes him go down, because that's where I'm looking through his eyes.
Yeah.
First person shooter, but
just a matter of.
It's not a stick in his head steering it like that. It's me, like, it's just.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm inverted for a reason, because I'm weird. So the next, what games memorabilia collects dust in your household? And now, because you really liked the franchise back when it was good, but it's ruined now. I personally have a few collector's editions from World of Warcraft, but sadly never acquired one of the really cool statues for, Frostmourne. And a couple of Assassin's Creed statues collecting dust on the stairs, and a Keyblade, although I never played the series, but I have the remasters of 1 and 2 for PS4 somewhere. I totally need to play that soon. Do you have any?
Well, I didn't really get a lot of game memorabilia for years, but I've started getting a lot more recently. But none of them are really collecting dust because of a ruined franchise. I've got one which is quite beaten up, and it's a miniature-ish facehugger from Alien, and it's from the collector's edition of Alien vs Predator from I can't remember, it was like 2009 or something. And that game was okay. You had 3 unique campaigns, but the facehugger in it's probably your average proper facehugger's like this big, and the replica's like this big. Proper long tail and everything, but he's a bit beaten up now. Part of his tail has fallen off, and it's got like fully posable like legs, whatever you want to call them. Like they got wire in them, you can bend them around.
Cool.
So that was really cool, but he's just kind of old. Other than that. Yeah. All of my gaming memorabilia is in top nick.
Yeah, I never buy gaming memorabilia. Of the ones I've got, I've had them sent to me from working on this channel, and that's it. I've got no connection in that way. I think the only old gaming stuff I have, and it's kind of, if this was memorabilia, it would apply to this greatly, because it's the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare on PC. I've also got Call of Duty 2. It's just a disc, like, there's no memorabilia, but it's like, it's a game that used to be good in a franchise that's now shit.
Yeah, feel that.
So I've also got Rome Total War on PC. I've also got Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is, it's not as old as the other two. It's on the original Xbox version, but I feel like the Elder Scrolls might be a shit show, so that I'm gonna say that applies too. Okay, right, very last question.
Very last one, and this is a reminder from not that Rob Lowe's question, which is the yearly question where we say what our favourite game of a given year is, starting from when we were born, going all the way up, and the only stipulation is that we have to have played the game at some point, not necessarily at the time, just whenever. Okay, my year was closing very, very close to where we are now. Is 2015. There's a bunch of games, and again, I haven't really decided which one's the best, and they are.
This is year 20 now, right?
Yeah, we should be 20.
Year 20.
This was the year I actually bought my PS4, because I put off buying it for ages, waiting for the price to come down a bit. I think I was a student, and I was working over the summer in a bar. Great job, and I just saved up all my tips, and then just went and bought one. So Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Batman Arkham Knight, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Star Wars Battlefront, Dying Light, Mad Max, and Just Cause 3, and along with a couple of others which I haven't actually personally played. Now, to me, this comes down to Metal Gear Solid 5, because I've always been a huge fan of the Metal Gear games. Then that one being like the next gen jump was great. The moment to moment gameplay is really good. The story's fucking garbage. The Witcher 3, everyone knows how much we love The Witcher 3. Batman Arkham Knight is probably going to take it because it's the game I got with my PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because I wanted it.
There you go.
That's all it is. And a lot of people really don't like that one in comparison to the others. There's a lot of bitterness about the Batmobile shit, and I'm like, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine. Like, it really didn't bother me that much, and I loved the rest of the game. It's still one of the best looking games out there.
Well, if you say it's good, I believe you. I believe you, Henry. However, my game of this year for me is the year 2000, the year I turned 20, and I don't have any good games. It's beaten me this week. I think the best one is Colin McRae Rally 2.0. I think that's the game that I played the most. Yeah, let's go with that. It was the time where I was kind of in high school. I wasn't doing a lot of gaming, but I think I wasn't in high school. It was I was in college. Colin McRae Rally 2 was the game of that year that I played the most of. There wasn't a lot of choice, I'll be honest. The Sims launched that year. I played some of that because, it was kind of good. But other than that, it's just, I know I was at a weird age and there wasn't a lot out. So unfortunately, I don't have a good choice. But of all the ones that I definitely played the most of Colin McRae Rally 2, and that's only because by default I didn't play much else. Sorry about that answer. But there you go. And there you have it. That's the end of our questions for this week. We're going to move on now to the Triggered Fanboy comment of the week. Okay, this week's Triggered Fanboy comment of the week isn't that good, I'll be honest. But North Southie comments, by the way, it's in a video called Keeley Calls It Quits from last Thursday. He says, not true. He's not calling it quits. He's just not doing E3 this year. Very clickbaity.
What? How is that not? If he's quitting E3?
Isn't that, he didn't technically quit. He's just not doing it.
Yeah.
But calls it quits is an expression, which means that he's not doing it anymore.
You're calling it a day.
Yeah. So it's not technically... The title of the video does say another leak and Keeley quits E3. Again, it's not entirely accurate. That's why we have titles and why there's information in the video. Yeah, clickbaity, you call it clickbait, I don't.
I really don't see anything wrong with it because he did.
The best response to this was Aldrich Donkey, who commented, "I don't like this video, therefore it's clickbait." It's simple, isn't it? I don't agree with what you're saying. So clickbait much. Or the best one is slow news day. That's the most triggered. Obviously, don't like what we're saying in those videos.
My favorite thing about clickbait comments is it worked on you, dickhead. You're the one who clicked.
And you commented.
So thanks for the engagement. Now,
double whammy.
Fuck off. I haven't got any immediately in front of me. Oh, no, here's a good one because it was the amount of times I make one-word slip-ups and it just slips through the net and I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot. Why did I get that wrong?
Yeah.
Because and then you upload it and then it's wrong. And that's because what I'm talking about is I'm in video from the 18th of February, which was Tuesday, I think, titled Final Fantasy VII Remake Huge Install Revealed, and then a few other things. I misspoke and said 150 kilobytes was the original size of the original game, which is not correct. It's 150 megabytes. Yes. But my point was that it's very, very tiny. But 150 kilobytes is really so tiny. A few people called me out here. So 150 kilobytes for 3 hours of content for the original Final Fantasy on 7 on PS1. I'm going to have to press X to doubt that one.
That's a good point.
There was a couple of others like that.
There's a way to do actuallys, and that was one of the best, right?
There's one here. Kilobytes. Facepalm. Well, is this fine? It's whatever.
Henry, you deserve it. You make a mistake, you deserve it.
You always say if we make one glaring mistake in every video, it's great for engagement.
It is great for engagement.
It was deliberate.
Okay, now this next comment was on the Sonic movie doing really well around a Daily Triple, I should say. 300 IQ Crower says, I know the Ryan Reynolds versus Jim Carrey thing is just a joke, where I said, who needs Ryan Reynolds when you've got the mother of all, like, iron-backed Jim Carrey to carry a movie? And he thought I was joking, where I wasn't, because Jim Carrey is an all-time, like, movie hero of mine. So, you know,
you can't beat Jim Carrey. So
yeah, you stuff that. I know this Jim Carrey versus Ryan Reynolds is just a joke. A lot of people can't handle or detect those anymore, apparently. Okay, I guess I was being light with it, trying to trigger those Ryan Reynolds fans. I don't know. But I saw the movie expecting Jim to be the only good parts, and not only ended up loving it because before he even appeared, but kind of found him to be the weakest part. I don't feel like Eggman until the last third. It didn't feel like he was the Eggman until the last third. He was fantastic. It just felt like a different character, closer to a young Dr. Willy or Dr. Nefarious. I also can't think of a better casting for Vesemir than an old Mark Hamill. I watched the Sonic movie in the week. That was what I was doing on Tuesday. I was looking after the kids and taking them with a couple of their friends to the cinema to watch Sonic. Why not? They loved it. They absolutely loved it. I thought it was all right. I thought it was all right. Jim Carrey was great. Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey, being his best. And the movie was funny. Have you seen it?
Nope.
I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, it was a decent movie. It was, I don't know, a bit cheesy, a bit aimed at kids, right? It wasn't aimed at my generation. It is a kids movie, yeah. It's aimed at kids. It does what it sets out to achieve. In that respect, it's done well. So my kids loved it. Hats off to them. They've done what they set out to achieve, I guess.
Oh, conveniently, I've just found some more unpleasant comments about my little slip-up. So I found two here, which are way more... well, one's particularly rude. The other one actually thinks it's like a serious blunder. So Matt Styles, when you don't actually know and understand the difference between KB and MB, kilobytes and megabytes, brackets, you can tell he don't lol. 150 megabytes, lol, right?
No, it's
just a
capital LOLLLL.
Yeah, forgive me.
LOL.
Yeah, all right. Clearly, I don't know the difference because I made one slip up, literally one word mentioned once. I'm like, who gives a fuck? But again, you're boosting engagement. 150 KB, the fuck you on? 150 kilobytes, come on, you're a grown man. That's like saying an elephant weighs about 2 pounds, major oof.
Oh, man.
It is, I wouldn't call it a fucking major oof. I mean, who gives a shit?
It's
you
just
knew
a term.
What I meant. You knew what I meant.
Term.
Like, so get the fuck over it.
Get over it.
I'm not sorry. I'm going to do it again.
Okay. On my Monday video, Spar Lexner says, I think you guys can stop calling it your new no shit gaming since it's no longer new, but I still do appreciate this format, love heart. I think I talked about this in last week's podcast where somebody else made the same comment saying, yeah, I know it's not new, but it's a bit funny to call it new when it's not new anymore. And it triggers people, and that's what I like about it, right? If it triggers somebody, I'll keep doing it. You don't say new anymore.
There was a comment about, like, thanking me for not saying new, but I haven't said new since, like, the first time. And I think I call it...
Screw up.
It's your gaming news video. I think yours is the new gaming news video. Mine's your gaming news video. There's a few other little differences, but I can't really remember. So the two, this is a little behind the scenes info for you. The videos I did at home this week, the two intros were recorded and one was reused. But the two, I just recorded them at the same time, and then I cleverly took off my jumper so it would look slightly different. But it's actually really difficult doing the intro and then the outro and then going back to the intro, because the intro is really easy to do. The outro for some reason is a lot hard, but then going back to the intro, I was already in like fuck up mode, and it took me ages to get back into the swing of things. And I was in a rush because it was the very last thing I was doing that day while in the middle of
trying
uploading.
To get the boss and various other things. So have you got another?
I haven't got one ready to go.
I've got. I guess my last one. Dreams is the highest rated game of the year. That voiceover video we did on Monday. One guy, 115Z62 comments. Amazing Portuguese, mate. Love you guys. Remember the Portuguese thing I started reading out, and then I quit it. Amazing Portuguese. Amazing. You're welcome. I'm a man of many tongues, after all.
I mean,
that's what my wife loves about me.
Henry's
joke from earlier
there. Let's go with that.
You're the floppy face.
I did have a bunch of other ones, but I think I've lost them. I think I've closed the video that they were open on.
Lol.
Well. Never mind.
Another mistake that they can screw you about.
I really don't care.
Oh, that's too obvious one. I can't say that one. The restaurant on the moon.
This one reminded me of it, but there's another one where they asked what the this might be the one actually. Oh yeah, because it'll be a bit educational. From Matt Styles again, so he's getting double play after being a twat. What is faff? And then someone comments back, Diamond Dog, and I feel like there needs to be a correction here because it's not quite right. So what is faff? And then Diamond Dog says slang for rubbish, poop, bad, crap, shit. That's not what faff means.
Nope.
Faff means faff. Faff doesn't mean anything else. Faff,
unnecessary stuff.
Extra bollocks.
Yeah. Like anything that's unnecessary.
Yeah. And the fact he said rubbish is a more English word rather than American, so that's just, it might be English. But then he says poop, and a Brit will more likely say poo or just shit.
Poop.
So yeah, unfortunately, Diamond Dog, you're not quite right.
Not technically right. I mean, faff can be poop and rubbish, but poop and rubbish isn't faff. It's not the same.
Yeah, thing. It doesn't go. They're not mutually exclusive. We could say your gaming news video, 3 stories in one video with 0 extra bullshit.
Yeah.
Or 0 fluff stretching one story out for 18 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that one of my favourite words in the English language or expressions is faffing about.
Oh yeah, even that's slightly different as well.
Stop faffing about. So faffing about is when you're doing stuff that is unimportant. It's
unnecessary.
Yeah?
Like when you're about to leave and everyone's got their shoes on, their coats on, they're about to leave, and someone's turning the TV dials or fiddling with the heating. It's just extra bollocks that we're trying to leave.
Yeah, and when we want to get out to get to the wife's like folding clothes or something. I'm like,
you just do that later.
Stop faffing about. Or the kids are distracted on their phones when they should be getting their coats and shoes on. God almighty, being a parent is hard, right? And for the 10th time in the last 10 days, you're shouting at them to get ready to get out the door, and they're just faffing around on their phones, right? That's what faff is, when they're doing something that's just completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Now
that's what faff is.
Now we have put that to rest. Let's move on to the bad dad joke of the week. Jingle, please.
With my brand new jingle.
Okay, what do you get if you cross a dog with a tiger?
What do you get when you cross a dog with a tiger?
A very nervous postal worker.
He's gonna bite his hand off when he posts some letters.
Lol. There was one there that I had to skip because it's just so obvious. It's one of the worst. Do you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Everyone knows this. Great atmosphere. Great food, no atmosphere. I thought I had to skip that because that wouldn't have been. That's just doesn't qualify as a dad joke of any week.
Well, back home, back on the dog thing, I just think it's funny. My mum's got a tiny little Jack Russell, but anytime post comes through, she jumps up and grabs it. So there's been a couple of times when she sent me things like for my birthday or something back up to uni or where I am now, and there's little tooth marks in the packaging. I'm like, well, that's a little extra gift from my dog.
Lovely. On that note, we will wrap up this week's podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting over on Patreon and joining in with the community on Discord and leaving us your questions, as well as all the comments and the likes on the YouTube videos. Every little bit helps, and we really appreciate it. And thanks for supporting the channel in whatever way you choose to do so. From Henry and I, we will see you again next week. Until then, bye for now.